Hi. So officially now, this is Megan Brenn-White. I am my new title, the CEO and founder of also a new name, the Upstate Curious Team of Keller Williams Realty Hudson Valley North. And I am so glad to see everyone here. And today is a big day for us. I feel like we are, this is a day that has been we've been working on for years. I've literally started this business 6 years ago and we have never had a website, which is weird. So I don't know who saw our stats for last year, but we worked with 197 clients. We sold almost $110 million worth of volume. We have 17 people on our team now, and we did not have a website until 2 weeks ago when we soft launched it. So that is super exciting. I'm going to talk for like 10 minutes about like our branding and stuff and why what we're doing. And then I'm going to just kind of jump into the 2022 market report. And I'm loving seeing some questions in here. I have, paper notes that I can take notes on. So keep them coming. Okay. So Upstate Curious Team. So those of you who found us on Instagram, or if you didn't, we have close to 40,000 followers at this point, which is amazing. We changed the name to Upstate Curious a few weeks ago. And the idea with that was that we had started to feel like Upstate real estate was a little too generic. We had another, smaller brokerage here who kind of grabbed that Instagram handle. And we were like, oh, this is maybe we got to come up with something a little bit catchier, a little bit more unique. At the same time, we were also feeling like it didn't really reflect everything we were doing and what we wanted to do, because it's not actually all about real estate. A lot of it's about the community. A lot of our plans for the future have to do with things like this farm that we bought this year with 43 acres in Accord and what we're going to do there. And real estate's still at the heart of it. So Upstate Curious kind of came to me, and it was straight up, like, honestly, it was what you think it is. I was like, haha, everyone's a little upstate curious. Like, we're all on a spectrum of like city to up to rural. Like, who knows where you are? Like, maybe I tried a little upstate in college and I liked it, but I don't know is that what I want to do forever? Like, literally, that's kind of where I was going with that. And for some reason, that totally it really reflected what I think about how I was. Like, I thought I was a city person for the first 41 years of my life. And then I moved upstate and I was like, oh God, this is what I've always been missing, is living in this like tiny rural community, until I remembered that I actually went to high school in Aspen, which is also a tiny rural community, and loved it. So it's like, this idea was that it also really reflects one of, I think, the key attributes of our team and the people we work with, which is curiosity. And I think that we are just fiercely curious about everything going on in this area and about our clients' lives, not in a weird, way, but like I think that is one of the key things that I look for and we look for when we have people joining our team, is that they're curious, that they need to know, like, what is, from the fun stuff, like what's happening with this restaurant that's, opening up soon, to like what's happening to a new law that's going to be passed, to how is this big housing boom going to impact people who've been in this region for longer? What is the intersection of sort of social justice and affordability for housing look like? So it's like, that is really a key part of our team. And real estate kind of touches everything in life, weirdly. So it feels like we have the real estate at the center of it all, and we do. And then there's all the stuff surrounding it. So we thought Upstate Curious as our team name really fit more of who we are and what we are. And we hope, and it's very easy to remember and find and all of that. And for the first time, as someone with a hyphenated last name, to not have to say, please write me at Megan at upstate-realestate.com is a dang thrill. So y'all want to write me, just Megan, Megan, at upstatecurious.com. Easy to remember, no hyphen. Love it. So we also wanted to have, we were really thinking about how do we want to represent ourselves as a team and our values? And I know our poor designer, John Santos, who probably doesn't want to be named, we had to do a bunch of stuff this week without him we had to kind of like push ahead with some of the like Instagram things and YouTube skins and whatever, because we just needed some stuff this week. But he has done such a beautiful job of, I think, of talking to us, understanding what we want to do in this area and coming up with something that feels really elevated, but still approachable and still fun. And, we're still going to be a little rough around the edges, little handmade. And, this is what we're going to be starting to like roll out everywhere. So these are our new cards, the new logos. This almost looks a little bit like a block print, very stylish on the back. And John's amazing. He did the branding for Freeman's and for Breslin, Dutch, all kinds of cool hospitality businesses, and was one of our clients and owned a home in Sullivan County for a number of years. And is this, incredible creative artist, designer who kind of lives all over the world a lot of the time. And to me, really reflects a lot of our clients. So I thought it was amazing that we were able to get him to work on that. So yeah, so quickly here, I'm going to go to, again, I probably don't even need to type this in. It's www.upstatecurious.com is our new website, which is very exciting. And I'm going to share a screen with you guys. There we go. So I'm going to do like a quick tour of the highlights here. So the photography, by the way, we have a staff photographer, Phil Mansfield, who is like, makes ridiculously stunning, beautiful photography. And a lot of our clients have just ridiculously stunning, beautiful homes. So these photos are photos, they are not like weird stock photography. These are photos of homes that we've represented. So here's our little thing. Here's our stats. #1 team in the Hudson Valley and Catskills. I don't think there's anyone who really currently comes close, or not a ton of teams. $109 million volume sold. 10 million and one reasons we love our area. We have our properties that we're selling, featured properties. So this, if you're listing with us, this is where those would go. We've been in the press, New York Times, New Yorker, NPR, Time. We get asked to do a lot of stuff in the press, either for us or for our clients. And then pretty easily sell with Upstate Curious, buy with Upstate Curious. This one is my house. So welcome to my home. And then we have little new headshots of everybody who get all so cute on the team. And essentially, like, the main things I just want to point out quickly here is that we do have a home search, which is, so one of the things that we do is we cover 8 counties. That's something that's kind of different with our team than some places. So we belong to 4 or 5 different multiple listing services. So what that means is this area is kind of divided into different chunks, and that some people list things in more than one multiple listing service. It's a little confusing, but this search will get you results from all of the multiple listing services and all of the areas we cover, which is Ulster, Dutchess, Sullivan, Putnam, Columbia, Greene, Delaware, Schoharie, and Orange counties. So essentially here you can just, whatever, you can say you want to see if there's something. I mean, this is just like a normal, honestly, this is like kind of a normal search engine, but it's nice. And I should say it's probably more than normal. I think that the photos are extra nice. They're really big. There's a lot of good info. You can always just reach out to us here if you want us to show you something. For those of you who don't know, agents can show anything in the multiple listing services. So if you don't have an agent yet, and you want us to show you something, particular house, this is kind of how you would do that. The other thing, the important thing that we can do with our clients with this now is we can do all kinds of things to create alerts. So, I can draw a search area. So I can be like, I want to be somewhere here, whatever. And I want it to be, I don't know, at least 2,000 square feet, not more than 3. I mean, this is all stuff you guys, will know. One of the things you can do though, is you can take out under contract and pending, which Zillow often doesn't do. So that is helpful. You can do, has a pool, waterfront, whatever. And now you can see in the list view, just those kind of houses. So this is useful. You can save houses, you can come back, all of that. This is something that we've really wanted people to be able to, our clients in particular, to be able to have a great search experience. And we think this is. So this means you don't have to go to like Zillow or Realtor or all, those kind of places. If you don't want to, you can just go right here. So, and then you go click here and you're back on our site. If you want to see like what we do with sellers, we have some information here about, why we're like great to work with as listing agents. There's our adorable listing team, Danny, Chelsea, Angelica, who's actually our new head of sales or, promoted to head of sales and works on both teams. And there's Katie Port. We've got like some fun sliders because we do virtual staging for most things that are empty. And for those of you who don't know it, Danny Romero is an architect. So he does actual like floor plans so that we can do this. We definitely help people figure out like what they should do with their homes before they go on market. This was one of our big successes. This home, I think, was listed at 1.4 million. And we were like, this is not scream seven figures from the front. So we strongly encouraged the seller to paint it and he got his price. So that was pretty exciting. I don't think there's anything else really too exciting here that you would need to know about. The only thing that I will say here that I can show you about is that we're also switching our newsletters. And if you already got our newsletter, you're going to be subscribed to both versions of this. So we're going to have the exclusive listing alerts and the weekly newsletter. The weekly newsletter is going to actually be like packed with news now. It's going to be like, here's a place that's opening. Here's Hillary's favorite new coffee spot. Here is a little thing about like one of our clients. Like we have a new format that I'm super excited about that will probably start next week. That's going to be all kinds of stuff that should be useful and fun and exciting. The listing alert. So instead of just sending those out, basically the listing alerts were our newsletter. So we're just going to send those out instead of once a week. We're going to send them out as soon as the listing comes out. Well, 24 hours before the listing goes live on the multiple listing service. That's when you'll get the listing alert, and you won't be able to schedule or anything before it's live on the multiple listing service, but you'll have an idea of what's going on. So that I think should be helpful. I think that's all the stuff with the website, really. I mean, we have all kinds of stuff that is going to be happening. Here's one of the other things. This is a sneak peek. We're going to put it on the website, but for right now, we started creating an Upstate Curious Team favorites map. And you can see it's organized into shopping, food and drink, farms and farm stands, outdoor fun, and outdoor and arts and culture. So you'll be able to, you can download this onto or save it for Google Maps on your phone, and then actually just have it in the background. So if you're like, I'm going to wherever, Livingston Manor for the weekend, what's around there? You'll be able to have our map, be able to see all our like little reviews, like me saying for Holy Cow Ice Cream, old school ice cream stand with incredible peanut butter sauce and Red Hook. Highly recommend. So that is that. The only thing I wanted to mention is for those of you who aren't familiar with our app yet, the app has gotten kind of amazing. And, we wanted to be clear that the app is not like a real estate search engine app. The app is a community app. So we are now calling it the Upstate Curious Community App. And this is what it looks like. We're trying to get the full redesign done for this and also get a better URL for it. But the app is pretty great. So there's almost 5,000 people at the moment who've joined the app. A lot of people are asking for things, practical things like someone's looking for short-term rental in New York City or Brooklyn. We're looking for cleaners this Friday in Ellenville. Somebody posted, I just thought you should know, I saw a gnome holding a pencil and hot sauce in Ferncliff Forest. So it is all kinds of posts. Let me just put it that way. Someone posted about maple lawn antiques in Stone Ridge and an article they'd written about that. It's very varied, and we are trying to organize it into popular hashtags. So if you go here under house hashtags, you can see every post where someone has used the hashtag landscaping and, just try and see what people are saying and how they're recommending things. we have groups also. So dog lovers, gardeners, hikers, homesteading, LGBTQ plus, real estate, parents, so that if you have questions that you want to ask here, like meeting, here's something about Barn Fox parents group, you can also look at that stuff. So the app is something that like we'll probably kind of work with more in the coming, I don't know, it's pretty awesome. So we use it all the time now ourselves. And then let me just show you the last thing is for the feature properties. That's not good. Forget it. I'm not showing you the feature properties. These ones don't look so good. They're supposed to have page breaks and highlight our video and stuff. So don't look at that. They're going to look amazing shortly. Stop screen share. Abort. Yeah. So that's sort of the update on branding things. And so if you want, I would definitely recommend you guys sign up for the new newsletters. You can sign up for either the weekly newsletter or the listing alerts or both. So that is that. Is there anything from my team? Is there anything that I forgot here? No? Good. You're going to see us covered in swag shortly. Just get ready. That green color is very flattering. So to change, I'm going to take a sip of water. To change topics here, then we can talk about what is happening with the market for 2022. What we've been seeing in the past few months, because it's been a few months since I've done a market update here. And I think that I wrote a number of topics that are impacting the market, the forecasts and what's been happening. So I think that, as a overall thing, inventory is still way down. Like it's down in most places, like 26% from last year at this time. It's rough. Inventory is down. Prices are up around 14%, most of the areas that we cover. But, year on year prices, and that's the year on year median prices. And that is less than, that was less than 2019 going into 2020 and 2020 going into 2021, especially 2020 going into 2021, we saw things that were like 30+% increases in median prices. So that was, or from 2019 to 2020. So that was real. The trajectory that we saw was really, there was like a moment in March, March to maybe April. It was a pretty short moment, maybe May, where people were like, oh, we don't know what's happening with COVID and we don't know what's going to happen. And we couldn't show houses and it was really difficult. And then we started to show houses really carefully, a lot remotely, one person at a time. Agents wouldn't even go with their clients. And then in July of 2020 is when we were able to all just show houses with our clients again. And that is all, I think that was somewhat coincidental, but that is also when, that fall of 2020 was the most dramatic time of and that summer of just so many new buyers entering the market. And that was when, by the way, if you tried to work with us then, at one point we had a wait list of over 300 buyers trying to work with our team. And I was just like, I know you're not supposed to really turn down business and you want to be able to help everybody, but we could not help. Like that was a wait list of 300 buyers and we had multiple dedicated buyers agents working with a roster of probably 20 to 30 people each already. So it wasn't like we were like, let's take one person at a time and find them a home. And then no, you have to be like looking for lots of people. So the fall of 2020 was rough. 2021, the fall of 2020 was rough for buyers. Pretty great for sellers. That's the truth. So 2021 overall has been somewhat calmer. It has been. It's, I think that when we were talking, we were talking as a team a little bit before this, and what it seems like is that one of the changes is that in 2020 and maybe the beginning of 2021, there was a time where people just wanted to buy anything. Like they were just like, we just have to get in the market. We have to get a place. We want to get out of the city. We want to know we can get out of the city if like a pandemic happens again. And like they started looking at homes that we wouldn't have shown them previously, like homes that needed a lot of work, but maybe wouldn't even be that super cute when you're done. Homes where you had a lot of neighbors, homes that were on a road, like all of these things that for our clients had been deal breakers. All of a sudden, we're kind of like, well, we can make some compromises. And I don't think that's a bad idea. That was what I said all last year. I was like, if I wanted to get into this market, I would buy something now. Interest rates are ridiculously low, and I think the prices are going to rise. Interest rates were ridiculously low. They still are really, but like you were talking about interest rates in the twos and homes that were, on average 14% less expensive than they are now. Those things are significant. So the interest rates are already up over 3% generally. And that's one of the main things that we think is going to change. But, to finish the thought is that it seems like the frantic nature, the multiple offers, the like, heck, we don't know how much this is going to sell for thing is really concentrating itself back on the homes that are desirable for weekend residences, for Airbnb kind of things. So it's like the classic, what do people who live most of the time or are moving from New York City want? Or anybody who earns a salary outside of here. Because that tends to be the people who have more money and who really are willing to put that money towards things like design, nature, access to whether they like little cute restaurants or towns or hiking trails or skiing, like they want to be, sometimes close to something. So what we've seen is it's gotten less frantic at the part of the market that was less frantic before 2020, before COVID, which is great for everyone. So prices are still up, but the houses that are getting the many multiple offers are the ones that we probably would have happened in 2019. They just are a lot more expensive now. They're like 40, those houses. And I think, I feel like I say this every Zoom, that when we look at median and average, we have no way to differentiate between the slice of the market that's for this kind of weekend home New York City buyer, for lack of a better term. My gut is that prices went up much higher in that segment than in like your kind of everyday home segment, which is good for affordability and people who are living here, is not good if you're trying to buy a cute weekend home. And all of a sudden you're like, oh geez, like this thing that would have been $250 3 years ago is now getting multiple offers at $375. And if they renovated it, it's now getting multiple offers at $675. It's like it's a whole different kettle of fish. So what people are looking for has, I think that we are still, like, if you're thinking about what's most competitive, I think that people are still looking for bigger homes, and that's something that 2019, if a house was over 2,000 square feet, it was like kind of like some people would be like, I don't want that much. It's too much. And now people really are like, hey, I might want like a work from home thing. I might want I'm just finding a statistic for you guys. I might want to work from home. I might want to have guest people. I might want to have, whatever else it is. And let me see, I had the statistics here because it was interesting. The prices have gone up higher. There it is. Have gone up higher for more bedrooms. So essentially for last year, the average, I'm going to see if I can find this. For a 3-bedroom last year, sorry, I have so many things open right now. Where the heck did it go? Average, and it's not this one. Don't listen. Do something else. Everyone go do something else. Go get a cup of coffee. No, just kidding. Dang, I had those statistics somewhere. Anyways, point of the story is somewhere in my millions of statistics that I pulled up today, it did say that like the 3 bedrooms were a higher price. And it was something that I know that my colleague Rita sent me. Current active average list price. Yeah, that's where it was. Okay. So it's a little bit of a weird statistic because this one's pulled from like one of the not so friendly MLS systems in the background. So if we look at 3 bedrooms, the average list price currently is $541,000. There are 210 active homes, and this is the Ulster County Board of Realtors, the Catskill Hudson Valley MLS. So it's more than Ulster County, but this is one of the bigger MLSs up here for sure. So 210 active 3 bedrooms. Average list price currently is $541,000. Last year, the average list price sold for those was $430,000. So one of the interesting things about our market that makes statistics difficult is that it takes almost 3 months to close most deals if there's financing. So from an accepted offer, from when a home is listed to looking at the close things, it's 3 months later to see so if I look at prices that closed in December, which aren't really out yet, we just have the November reports, we're looking at deals that were made 3 months earlier. So when I look at the average list price is, $541, and it's the sold price, the average list price for sold homes was $430. That's a big difference for currently. And I would need to look at that statistic again to make sure I'm not like misinterpreting that one. But let me just say that the real gist of the matter, if I've just completely mangled that one, because it did come out in a little bit of a weird way, is that we are still seeing wanting bigger homes. That part is true. And we are seeing a lot of people, I think we're going to see more people want accessory dwelling units, ADUs, which would be a guest house, something else like that, because of, for same reason, home office, guest house, rental income, whatever. This leads to kind of one of the bigger things that could impact 2022, because basically most of the short version of this is that most people predict nationally the home prices are going to go up another 14-15% next year. That's what a lot of the predictions say. That's what people are kind of guessing for this area as well. I know Hillary attended the Pattern for Progress. They had a big market predictions for 2022, a panel recently. And, nobody is thinking that the prices are going to stay stagnant. I think some people will say they think maybe they'll go up like 5%, like kind of normal to what we were before. I don't think anybody is thinking they're going to go up 30% year on year again. So it's sort of, but it looks like given all the indicators that they will go up and that they will go up a little bit slower than they have been. One of the things that might keep that from happening, 2 things would be interest rates. So interest rates, are projected to increase a fair amount. And, we're still historically so low for interest rates. Like these numbers are so low. I just refinanced, which I done it last year. And we got, 2.9% on a 20-year loan. But, the 30-year one would be 3.25. I think now it'd be 3.3, 3.4, depending. That makes a big difference in terms of affordability, because those numbers can really change not only like what you want to afford, but what a bank will loan you, because it's debt to income ratios is how banks decide how much money to give you. So if the interest rates go up and all of a sudden you have to pay $200 a month more, that might put you in like a different price bracket. Even if you feel like you could afford it, the bank might say, nah, or you have to put more money down. So interest rates going up could put some downward pressure on prices. The other one would be Airbnb regulations. And I think this one, or Airbnb in general. And I think this one is kind of interesting because this has been one of the big drivers of prices going up for a while here. There are not enough hotels for how desirable this area is, which is extremely desirable. And people can make a ton of money doing short-term rentals. They just can. That is a fact. This is where capitalism does not work. The market is not going to solve this problem, because if somebody can make, $100,000 a year renting on Airbnb or $30,000 a year renting to a long-term tenant, most people will go for the $100,000 a year, even if it's a hassle. So what could happen though, which is interesting, is a lot of towns in Ulster County, a lot of the counties are starting to regulate Airbnb. And what that means is that we're starting to see the first buyer saying, we had a buyer who in the town of Rochester we have the first regulations here, which is where Kerhonkson and Accord are, saying that they're worried about buying a home here because of the new short-term rental regulations. And they didn't know if they would be able to do it because there's going to be a cap here, but it's not sure what the cap is going to be. They're going to wait to see how many people apply for permits to be grandfathered in and then decide on it. Woodstock has a short-term rental moratorium. Like, they're not granting permits for a while. So some people are just renting, don't care. So it is, oh gosh, somebody just put it's 3% for the town roll of Rochester. Have they decided that officially? I thought they were waiting. Oh my God, that wouldn't be too bad. Anyways, I think that okay, cool. So yeah, so I think that I think that's going to be there's a couple of reasons why this may cause prices to decrease. Is that some people who, like most of our clients, I bet we've worked with 2 clients last year out of the 200 who are investors, like pure investors. Almost all of our clients want to Airbnb some of the time. That's really what it is. They want to offset some of the mortgage income, or they just don't want their house to be empty in like the middle of winter, which makes sense. So those people might have to buy, their budgets will have to shrink if they don't think they can do short-term rentals, or if they don't think that it's certain enough. Another thing that got brought up today by Hillary, which was a really good point, is that at some point the market in certain areas could get saturated, overly saturated with the Airbnbs, which would put downward pressure on the price, the prices, the income that the owners could get. And that definitely happened in Brooklyn where I was. Like when I first started, I started Airbnb when it was like right at the beginning, and we would come up here for vacation and rent our place out, and people would take care of our cat and pay us like $300 a night to do it. And that was like amazing. And then it just kept going lower. The prices that we could get got lower and lower and lower and lower. So if that happens here and people are looking at, I could earn $40,000 a year on Airbnb or make $30,000 a year on long-term rental, all of a sudden that question becomes, most people would choose long-term rental at that point all day long, because it's so much easier. So it's interesting, so it's an interesting thing that I think is going to be a big factor coming up. And I would say that here's the weird thing, because I saw that Emily asked, like, what are parts of Sullivan County where people, that are kind of short-term friendly area? This is where, first of all, so I would say, go to our website. If you are looking for a house to buy, go to our website, fill out the questionnaire to be paired with one of the buyer's agents on our team. They are all amazing. All of us talk about all this stuff all of the time. We post about it. We have a whole Slack channel of houses we should sell. We post when we hear about new discussions about short-term rentals popping up in places. It's very collaborative and it is very specific. I'm going to say, if I were somebody who really wanted to have a short-term rental, I would probably go with the town that has regulations already, rather than the ones that haven't had discussions, because I think it's more of a known quantity. It doesn't mean they couldn't change it to make it more restrictive, but I don't know, I'd rather know, since it seems to be coming everywhere. Now, long-term perspective, I don't know if this is true, but there is a case in Lake Placid already that is going to, I don't know if it's going to the Supreme Court next or the federal appellate court. I can't remember which one it's going to, but basically a town has lost a case at the federal level about caps on Airbnb. And it's part of, taking. It's like a constitutional right. You can't just restrict what somebody can do with their own personal property without compensating them. So I have talked to some people who've said longer term, 5 years, these kind of caps will be illegal. The Supreme Court will rule them, particularly if we have a Supreme Court that is more economically conservative. They're going to say, nope, people should be able to do whatever they want with their homes. Screw this, you towns are wrong. If that happens, that is going to be that might then lead to the oversupply issue again. So you still want to have some risk management with any Airbnb things. So I know I'm talking a lot about that, but I think it's a big topic in terms of what people want to be able to do, and also what prices there will be, because that really did change what a lot of people were willing to pay for things. And it's also gotten to where we're selling things along with the houses, the furniture, the Instagram presence, a website, like existing bookings. Like we realized we started going this year more into some commercial listings with the Glen Wild, which is awesome, with the Norsdale, which has an accepted offer, with a number of things. Because we realized that the calculations we were doing for some of these Airbnbs that were getting sold were really similar. Like you had to have the same kind of, you're selling partially a business, essentially. So another thing that could impact this is COVID, obviously. Like, who knows what's going to happen? But we do know that last time that COVID was bad and people didn't feel like they could be in New York City or in any city, we saw huge numbers of people coming here and buying homes and staying here. And I will say that we are getting a lot of calls now from people in LA, in California, and Portland, in different places. So it's not all coming from New York City, but they are almost all coming from major urban centers. So I think there is a general nationwide trend to moving kind of outside of urban centers. For some people, this is for kind of the creative classes, largely people who can work from home and work remotely, that is so tied hand in hand with what happens with COVID that it's like hard to not mention them together. So, I got to say that the total number of homes, I mean, I've said this, a lot, but like, basically this is not a huge area. So if we just look at Ulster County, for example, which again is one of the biggest ones, in September 2021, there were 156 closed sales year to date. 156 closed sales that month. There will be around, a little over 2,000 probably for the whole year. So that is a little over 2,000 homes entirely for all of Ulster County. That's it. Of those homes, and this is the number we don't know, would 50% of them be appealing to a lot of the buyers we work with, which would give us 1,200 homes, or is it like 20%? I think it probably is more like 30%. I don't think it's 50%. I think 30 may even be high based on how many we look at until we put one on houses we should sell, honestly. So I think that if that's true, you're talking about a few hundred homes that you have this massive metropolitan area that people are competing for, investors are competing for, people who want to work, who are able to work from home part-time or all the time, people who want to get out because of COVID. It's like, it just does not take a lot of people in any one of those trends to really, 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 really significantly impact this market. And that, I think, is what's happening. So there's also a couple other little things, like the qualifying numbers for jumbo loans just got like really increased in our area, which means that you can all of a sudden buy a second home with a regular conventional mortgage, which is much less expensive and you need much less money down. That is, can be up to like $1 million now, depending on how much you're putting down. That just changed. That is just worked its way into the system. Mortgage, I'm probably going to have like a whole session on that, but some banks have already started enacting that. And the last thing I wanted to mention is just the change in, just the change in like visibility of this area and the new jobs and amenities and things like that. So Ellenville is a place that's close to us that really has a bunch of people, a good handful of people who've moved there, who are joining forces as much as they can, also with the people who have been there for a while, and created this, coalition of forward-facing Ellenville coffee. And they've got murals painted, they've got a market going, they've got they fixed the town clock. There's stuff that's happening, and there are things that are happening that make Ellenville a more desirable place to live. At the same time, one of the biggest cannabis, companies in the country is going to build one of the biggest factories in the country. Probably that's like they're doing all the site work. They're trying to make sure they can figure it out. That will create something like 500 new jobs there. The Nevele Hotel, which is a 5-star resort, which will be a 5-star resort now, is nothing, will create an additional 400 jobs there. Like, these are things that, like, Innis, which is near us, which is this like kind of very fancy country club sort of thing, plus beautiful, beautiful restaurant, plus little shop and like hotel, like with cute little cabins. Like people are going to be coming up here and getting attention to this area in ways they didn't before. This is what I lived through in Brooklyn. So this is where this stuff feels familiar to me, is that you have one thing open up, it gets a ton of press, more things come, they get more press, more people come, they're telling their friends about it. And thus, begins the cycle. And that stuff is happening further and further out in areas that you wouldn't have heard of. So one of the things, somebody mentioned something about Sullivan County, like the Foster Supply Company, who owns the Arnold House, DeBruce, Canosa Hall, all these great hotels, and they're locals who went away, made careers, came back, are doing these beautiful hotels and restaurants. They bought the spa in Neversink, which is a tiny little town in Sullivan County. And that's going to be this huge like resort restaurant spa with their kind of design and other, kind of super high standards of hospitality. So that, will kind of change that little area to some extent. I know where we have a house near Livingston Manor, they're talking about putting a Six Senses resort up on the mountain above us, which would be huge. And they all include housing. So I think the thing is that like stuff is like, there's literally so much more stuff than there was here, amenities than there was when I moved here 6 years ago. There is, there are shops and restaurants and bars and things where there wasn't. And that stuff tends to bring more people. And yeah, that's kind of, classic gentrification, for lack of a better term. And maybe I don't need a better term because I think that is the appropriate term. So yeah, so I guess that's the long story short here, is that I would say that if you have questions, you can start to throw them here. I did see that Eldon Lynn wrote the potential sellers, anything we recommend to sellers to do in the months before putting a home on market to make the sale go more smoothly. So I would say to talk to us immediately. Like we want to talk to all of the sellers who are considering selling their homes as soon as possible in the process, because then the listing agent can go there and go, oh my goodness, I think if you just painted this wall, you could make so much more money. Or if you don't have any, if you don't want to do any work, it's just like, okay, clear this stuff up. It's very, I would say it's very home specific. The general things are decluttering, fixing things that are broken, doing some like a little bit of landscaping. Almost every home looks better with white paint than anything else. Almost nobody likes carpet so much. So, changing to hardwood floors or refinishing hardwood floors, anything like that is good. But a lot of times it's pretty specific. And we can go over changes that people can do that are either, very extensive or really not so extensive. I'm going to put here in the link something for sellers. So if you're interested, you can click that. Does anybody have any questions? Perfect. Oh, good. You put something in our site already. Awesome. Lovely. I can look through some of the stats and see. So for NYSAR, New York State as a whole, the 1 year change in homes for sale is minus 27%. The 1 year change in the median sales price is plus 12% for New York State as a whole. So that is never as interesting to me as the counties. So if we looked at, for example, Ulster, which we've been talking about a lot today, the median sales price in Ulster was actually up 26.1% since last year. The new listings is down 11%. Sullivan County, the median price is only up 5%. Putnam, we don't have. Dutchess, median price is up 5%. Greene County, 17.5%. And I actually have some stuff about different towns. If anyone has a specific town, I can see what's been happening, which is kind of interesting. So like New Paltz, where did I look? The median sale and average sale in average sale price in Kingston was up. The city of Kingston was up 21%. Marbletown, 22%. Rochester, which is where Kerhonkson and Accord is, the average was up 25%. The median was up 32%. Yeah, Stone Ridge is Marbletown. So Stone Ridge would be, Marbletown is mostly is High Falls and Stone Ridge. So that was the volume sold last year was down 6%. The quantity sold was down 6%. Volume sold was up 14%. So that means more money, less, here, my deal was, I'm going to share this. Here we go. So you guys can see, I'm like looking at a slightly confusing thing. Okay, so this is, if we look here, quantity sold, percent change, volume sold, percent change, average sale, percent change, median, percent change, active, percent change. So Gardner, someone just asked about that. So Gardner, so this is 1/1/2021 to 12/31/2021. So this is last year, essentially. So if you look, the average sale in Gardner is actually only up 9%, but it started high for the area. So a year ago, it was 596. Now it's 652. The median sale was up higher, 15%, 487 to 559. So the same thing. So Marbletown, the average sale was up 22% from 511 to 624. The median was up 8% from 425 to 460. I feel like I've been getting alerts with price decreases recently. Is that seasonal, or might that mean that bidding wars will be less likely this year? I think it's partially seasonal. We did not have anybody call us like December. We had like literally like nobody, like it was weird. Like we did not get many leads. We're getting listings ready. And then all of a sudden the last week of December was wacky, and it's been wacky since then. So I'll go back to the stats when we finish this stuff. So I think that but the price, again, I do think that the price decreases are more likely to happen for people for homes that are less desirable. So before, we might not have seen that. We might have seen a bidding war on something that was a little bit less desirable. Now we're seeing that still on the ones that are really desirable. Have we seen contractors become more available, less crazed and busy at this point? No, it's horrible. It's terrible to find a contractor still. I think it will. I hope it will get better, because a lot of what was happening was people were doing big renovations. They could refinance their home, do a cash out refi or a home equity line of credit. And then they could, so in addition to people building and buying new homes or whatever, a lot of people were just making their own homes more comfortable, which caused the contractors to be unavailable. Do we do a lot of dual agency in your firm? Yes, we do. We kind of love dual agency. Like, I know it's not always a popular thing, but basically it means that we are fair and honest with everybody. We're not really representing either side. We have to be very careful for things like like in price negotiations, we can't give specific prices. We can't tell people like, what do you want to do for this inspection? How do you want to negotiate? But we can always tell people, and we educate our sellers a lot in advance and say, in the event that we have a buyer that comes to us directly, this is how it all works. So they're kind of like ready, and they know. We've educated them also on like, if we see this interest, we might call for highest and best. And these are the things you want to look for in a good offer. Yeah, so we definitely do that. And Claire, if you want to list with us, we love lake house. We love lake houses. I'm just saying, we love lake houses. Can I send this report out? This is like a weird report that I got from my office. I don't know if I can try and find out. The thoughts on buyer clients that are specifically looking for income or investment property. What types of properties are they looking to buy? You mentioned that people are looking to buy larger houses these days. Larger 3+ bedroom houses can be harder to steadily rent out. I think that's true. So if you wanted to just buy a place that was just for short-term rental and you wanted occupancy rates to be high, I would get a smaller one, have it be less expensive, have it be, full the whole time. If you, I mean, we do see people though who have houses that they have, where like 10 people can sleep, where they make like $10,000 a night. It's just a different thing. I think, and hi Leanna also, by the way. Hi. It's a different thing. Like, I think it kind of depends on what your own goals are, personal and business wise, really, because we do see people I just saw one with Home Sweet Hudson. They just posted a rental today that was a Hudson Woods rental that had, those are homes that are over like well over $1 million. And there was one room with like 8 beds in it. That was so clearly I think that's clearly for Airbnb to be able to maximize the number of, things people like, beds essentially. Here, I'm going to like scroll through this and you guys see if you have. So this is Ulster County Board of Realtors. That's the one we were just looking at. Oh no, that wasn't actually. So pending sales, I'm trying to think what else would be. I feel like I talked about a lot of the most useful one. Days on market till sale. This is kind of interesting. This is still getting lower and lower. It's quick. Median sales price going up. But you can see, like, if you look, I don't know, like January 2021 compared to January 2020, it's up 23%. January 2020, COVID hadn't started yet. So, that's kind of a more accurate thing. February 2021 compared to February 2020, up 55%. That one I don't know. But you can see the percent changes start to decrease. It's like 23, 20, 17, 8, 6. Well, that's back up again. I don't know. It's so hard to tell because our seasons here are so specific. It's like spring, where there's a ton of people looking generally. And so then you see those closings in summer, and then October and like late September is another huge one, which also depends on like when the Jewish high holidays are, all this stuff. So it's a little bit confusing. Average sales price. We talked about all this stuff. Oh, percent of list price received. I mean, this is also interesting to see that overall it's over 100% now. And I think that for a while we just like, this could be another reason why you might see fewer bidding wars and fewer things going way over. I think that the pricing has gotten better. So like we all have a better sense of how to price things, so that there's usually, you don't see a house that is priced at like 550 that's going to end up at like 850 or something with like 50 offers. Like you see a house that's priced at 550 that may end up at like 585 or something. I have to look at our numbers again, but I mean, for a long time it was, if there was a multiple offer on one of our homes, our listings, it was the average was 19% that it went over the list price. And we're not trying to do that. Like we are intentionally trying to always get 3 offers. That is what we want. Like in my perfect world, I would have 3 offers because buyers change their minds. They go a little wackadoodle during inspection. And like, you want to have backups. But I think it's less crazy. Housing affordability, month supply of inventory. This is another one that is a big factor. 6 months is even buyer's market. We're very, very, very much in a seller's market. This is HGAR, which is, this is the southern one that includes Sullivan County. You can see Putnam has some orange, Rockland. So Putnam, which is one of the counties we cover, kind of went like that. This is 2018 to 2021. Sullivan, had, I would say, a higher, like a more steep trajectory. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Does anyone have anything else that they want to see? There's like a ton of data here, but I think the main gist seemed to be that like prices are, sometimes there aren't enough things to compare really. Like if there's only one condo, it doesn't matter, but the number of sales you could see in Sullivan County of single family homes was down 20% at 350, which is still, this is for the fourth quarters, which is still 350 is still significantly higher than it was in 2018, which was 276, 300. I guess the other trend, that I didn't mention yet, let me know if you guys want to see any other statistics. The other trend that I didn't really mention yet is that builders are starting to get back in the game. So builders are starting, like developers are oh my God, somebody literally just wrote me a direct message about new builds. Oh my God, we're like psychic. That's so weird. They are starting to get like, we are about to actually launch some super exciting projects with builders. So get ready to see some like luxury coming from our team in this year. And actually, that's one thing I would say is it's hard for builders to do things other than luxury right now because of all the shortages and the increase in prices and the increase in price of land and the labor shortages and all of it. So it's like I think we're seeing more that are like 7-figure plus. There are provisions that have gone through the federal government with Build Back Better and other things that may increase housing affordability and like incentives for housing affordability. And I know that there's a new coalition building in our area that's going to be working on this, but I think that we do work with buyers to find new builds. Yeah, absolutely. And actually, we also are starting to kind of work with people. We did not used to work with land at all. And we are starting to work with people to find land. And often we can say, okay, here's like, you should talk to the people at like Inc. or whatever. Like, I'm like literally blanking on every single name of every builder. What did you say? Who just said something?
Huts.
God, that's what I meant. Not Inc. or Neville House or Modern Catskills or, Catskill Farms or whatever. So yeah, I think a lot of people have always been looking for new builds and still are. And we've managed to sell a few. So we've sold a few homes at the beginning of the renovation process. So we have some of those under contract right now so that the developer, hires us to sell the homes before they even start really working on it. Or maybe they've started. So we're going to have a couple more of those in Kerhonkson. We're going to have a bunch of those, especially in Ulster County and maybe also in Greene County, hopefully this coming year. So any questions? Anything from the peanut gallery, from the Upstate Curious team? I think it's going to be I think it's going to be kind of a good year. Like, I hope it's going to be more, like I said, I hope it's going to be a little bit more calm. Like, I know Angelica, who is here, she beat 20 offers for a home this week that did go 20% over the asking price, right? I think. And I know poor Lee lost 2 multiple offer situations this weekend. So, I mean, that is still very much our reality. And, so especially if you're getting financing, then we have, which means you might be competing against cash, then we have strategies to work with you on how to make your offer really as attractive as possible. But you kind of got to be a little prepared to be entering still a seller's market. But I do think it's going to be better this year. I really do. So I think that like, if you wanted to say like, to wrap this up, is it a good time to buy or sell? Yes. If it worked for you, it is. And that's kind of true always, by the way. But I think that like, if you buy now, I don't think you're going to be like, oh my God, prices went down 30% next year. I don't see that happening. I don't see no indication of why that would happen. I think if you don't buy this year, there's more of a likelihood of it being a more significant uptick. But I think the minimum it would probably go up would be like 10 or 15% for the kind of homes a lot of our buyers are looking for. And I think if you want to sell now, again, like, we don't know what's going to happen with interest rates. So if it works for you to sell now, sell now. If you want to sell in 6 months, because that works better for you, I don't think it's going to be, dramatically different either way again. So I think that, we'd love to work with you guys. Our team is amazing right now. We have people working who are just work with buyers, and we'll just work with sellers. We've got transaction coordinators, a staff photographer, and we got all kind of people doing different things. So you have a whole team of people really working with you for either side. And that's true, by the way, if we do dual agency, we still have that. So there's still, on our side of things, we still have 2 transaction coordinators, 2 agents who work with people. So we're all treated legally as one team if we sell one of our listings, but we are legally as one person essentially. But practically speaking, we get a lot of people shepherding the deals along right through to closing and afterwards. So So yeah, somebody just asked about different kinds of loans. I mean, in the spectrum of like easy to difficult for sellers to accept, I would say that cash is the easiest, and like something like an FHA loan would be less easier, possibly. A lot of it depends on how their agents explain it to them, unfortunately. So if their agents are like, oh, this will be a hassle, and there are some things with some loan programs that are like, I don't know, like that have extra requirements, like the septic has to be a certain distance from the well and stuff, that are not true with conventional loans, that can make it more difficult. In general, those loans are also fine, and they should be, people should be able to take advantage of them 100%. But I think that it may make it a little less competitive. I don't know if, Angelica, do you have any opinion on that? FHA, USDA?
Yeah, I mean, those loans are harder to get, and they do have sort of tighter restrictions and stuff with lower down payments, and that always makes sellers nervous. The way you get a house is by convincing the seller you are making it to the closing table. And that's with your terms, your type of financing, anything you can do to convince the seller that that's where you're going to get is going to, help them pick your offer over someone else's.
And I think that gets to one actually good point that I didn't mention, which relates to Gabriel's question, which is that, so for the last 2 years, we've also been really concerned about appraisals. And that has gotten significantly better because the market was going up so much more quickly than the appraisals were, just because, again, like you're 3 months ahead. And in a year where you're going up 35%, 3 months ahead is like a different world. So like from when the appraiser can only look at closed deals. And so when you've put your offer in, the closed deals are deals that were made maybe 2.5, 3 months ago or further, or 6, they go up to 6 months behind. So, that does seem to be better. So there, one of the things that helps is, that for sellers, it does make a difference how much of a down payment you're putting down. So if you're putting down 5% versus 50%, they're going to probably take the 50% one unless you have other terms that are significantly better. But basically, like, honestly, I just think that like anything is possible. So it's just like, maybe you don't want to go into like a wild multiple offer battle with that kind of a loan, but you can still find a house. You can absolutely still find a house. And that's something that we tell everybody. It's just about like really being clear about your priorities and knowing like you can be like, you always have to be a little flexible. Even people looking for $2 million homes have to be a little flexible because they're not going to find the view and the pool and whatever and the kitchen that they want. Like it's always some kind of compromise. So one of our jobs is really talking to people about how they trying to really help them understand what the priorities are and where an okay compromise might be, and to look at things that they wouldn't have looked at otherwise, look at areas they wouldn't have looked at otherwise. I think we're good at that stuff. I mean, I know we're good at that stuff. I know we are. It's pretty awesome. So, well, thank you all for being here for so long today. And we're looking forward to working with you next year sometime. Send your friends, send your sellers. God, we need listings. We need listings. If you can't remember anything else, info@upstatecurious.com. You can always reach us there. Oh, and we have a new vanity number. It's so cute. 838 Upstate. 838 Upstate. 838 Upstate. And when you call that, it rings somewhere. Jen would know. I don't know. Probably rings to my number. I have no idea where it rings, but 838 Upstate. So just remember that. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And thank you for sticking around with us when we didn't have a website or anything else. Whoops. It's just going to get better from here. Just get ready. Thank you all. Hope you have a great 2022 start to the year, at least.